sack maker's moth-eaten heart? In a village where the hills rolled like green waves, there lived a man named Sakko. He was the master of burlap and twine, selling sturdy sacks to every farmer in the valley. His shop was filled with the scent of dried earth and rough hemp, and every evening he would stack his wares high, dreaming not of the harvest, but of the heavy copper coins they brought him. One morning, while checking his inventory, Sakko found a sack with a jagged, frayed hole near the bottom. A clever rat named Nibble had visited during the night, leaving a signature of teeth marks. Sakko frowned, his thumb hooking through the gap. "A ruin," he muttered. "I cannot sell this, and I cannot afford to lose the price of a perfect bag." Instead of mending it, he carefully tucked the torn sack into the middle of a fresh stack. Soon, a hard-working farmer named Bram entered the shop. The harvest was coming, and his fields were heavy with golden paddy. "Good morning, Sakko," Bram said with a weary but hopeful smile. "I need your finest sacks today. The grain is ripe, and I mustn't lose a single seed to the wind." Sakko nodded quickly, his eyes darting to the hidden, damaged bag. Sakko pulled the stack forward, ensuring the torn bag was sandwiched tightly between two others. "Here they are, Bram. The strongest in the land," Sakko lied, his voice as smooth as polished stone. Bram paid his coins, one by one, into Sakko's eager palm. He loaded the bundles onto his cart and headed back to the golden fields, unaware of the trap hidden in the burlap. Under the blazing sun, Bram worked until his back ached. He filled the sacks with the precious paddy, tying them tight with rough cord. But as he lifted the third bag, a thin stream of golden grain began to pour out like sand in an hourglass. The hole had opened wide under the weight. "Oh no," Bram cried, watching his hard work scatter into the dirt. Bram hurried back to the shop, the half-empty sack slung over his shoulder. "Sakko," he called out, breathless. "Look at this. The rats have been at this bag. It was torn before I ever touched it. Please, friend, exchange it for a whole one so I may save my harvest." He held the frayed edges up for the shopkeeper to see, his eyes pleading for fairness. Sakko shook his head, his heart as tight as a knotted rope. "Once a sack leaves my door, it is yours," he barked. "How do I know your own barn rats didn't do the deed? I will not lose a coin for your misfortune." Bram's face fell. He realized that Sakko cared more for the clink of metal than the sweat of a neighbor. He turned and walked away, leaving the coins behind but taking a heavy lesson with him. That night, Sakko sat in the back of his shop, counting his day's earnings. He placed all his copper and silver into a small, special pouch he had made from the very same batch of burlap he sold to Bram. "A fine day," he whispered to the shadows. He placed the heavy pouch on a low shelf and went to sleep, dreaming of a mountain of gold. But the shop was not empty. Nibble the rat emerged from the floorboards, his whiskers twitching. He remembered the taste of the burlap from earlier. He climbed onto the shelf and found the pouch. It didn't smell like grain, but it was perfect for nesting. Nibble began to gnaw, his sharp teeth working quickly through the rough fibers, creating a hole exactly where the previous one had been. The next morning, Sakko reached for his riches, but as he lifted the pouch, he felt it grow lighter and lighter. Clink, clink, plop. One by one, his coins slipped through the rat-bitten hole and rolled into the dark cracks of the floorboards, lost forever in the deep foundations of the shop. Sakko stared at the empty bag, finally understanding that a hole in one's honesty eventually empties the pockets of the soul.